I'll tell you what, making an engine seems like one of the most difficult challenges I can think of that has anything to do with game development.
In my head, it's like the history of indie games that have existed for like a long time, probably since like 2008, 2009. And so it would be games like Braid, Castle Crashers, and like Super Meat Boy. And it for some reason, I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder if it was made in Unity or this. And I was like, no, every game back then, they were making their own engine. Like every fucking game.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
That's crazy. Zeth is totally right. I've seen like GDC talks of people talking about how they developed their engine for like 4 years and then they began making their indie game. Crazy things that like, you can't really imagine doing that today, right? You wouldn't say, okay, I want to make a game and then spend 4 years developing an engine.
Yeah. Some guys do on YouTube, and I actively like criticize, like, why would you ever do this? This is so dumb. Not realizing this is the history of indie game development. So this is what you're used to do. Welcome to the Overscoped podcast. Are we recording? Hello. My name is MZF. Joining me is Henry,
Hey.
Kobe,
Yep.
and special guest NivMiz, creator of
Heyo.
Singularity and video games and stuff like that. How you guys doing?
I'm good.
The game is Singularium. That's out on Steam.
That's
Oh,
like
yeah,
a bit
thanks for
I always
the
say things a
correction.
little bit incorrectly, so it's kind of like the audience loves when I do it. They're like, "Oh, he's up to his old tricks again," So
Yep.
It's your shtick. It's your icon.
thank you.
Someone gets it, yeah.
Appreciates it. But no, NivMiz, welcome to the podcast. We do have a little bit of a weird change up. Maxi, core staple of the podcast, just couldn't do it anymore, so he's going to take a break, and maybe we'll have him on as a guest down the line or something. But going forward, it's just going to be the three of us, and we'll have fun trying to keep having to do the podcast, all that stuff. But welcome. How have you been, buddy? How's game dev going?
Game dev's going great. A couple months ago, I released my first commercial game. Been doing YouTube. Awful upload schedule. You guys probably know that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's been going great.
It's a little terrifying to the YouTube stuff. I didn't know this. Henry was talking about how like you hadn't been doing it very long.
Oh yeah, I started probably this August, I think, or last year's August.
Yeah.
And yeah, I posted like, well, actually, okay, I'll explain myself.
Please.
Like 2-3 years ago, I uploaded a couple videos, kind of, these cringy first YouTube video type things about game dev as well.
Oh.
They weren't great. They were some kind of devlogs. And they got a couple views here and there. Actually, one of them got like 12,000 views.
Jeez, that's not a couple. That's a bit more.
But it got 12,000 views over the course of like 3 years. So,
okay.
That's kinda rare.
maybe a view a day. It was weird. It was a weird thing. But it was kind of related to a game, Noita. So I think maybe just people were Googling that game and it popped up once in a while.
Noida.
Right, so you're sort of,
It was some weird behavior.
you were creating content and I was like, all right, this is sort of evergreen because there's not enough stuff about it. It's like, all right, yeah, it slowly grows. I see it's 3 years ago. Yeah, 12,000 views now.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool to see. Just like every few months I would look and see, oh wait, my YouTube video from like a year ago is kind of getting views. And then last August I decided to start again. And so I posted a couple videos and they started getting traction. And then I think 3 videos after I posted my first one last August, I had a video go kind of viral. I think it's sitting on like 400,000 views now.
Damn.
Jeez.
And that's what gave my channel kind of an actual push. And yeah, ever since it's been going kind of good.
Yeah. I remember because I actually reached out to you. I don't know if you remember, but I reached out to you to do a collab video. And at the time you were like at like 300 or 400.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. And then we ended up never doing it,
He was like, "Oh no, you're too small for me. I'm only talking to people with over 1,000 subscribers."
I was waiting. I was like, I know, maybe once he gets a bit of numbers up, we can try again,
Well, Henry, did you put out any fucking videos? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Hey,
All right, so you're one that
Yeah, no.
I was gonna say your video that took off here is like the black hole one, and then I saw like you do like reattempt it in other like thumbnails. You're like, oh yeah, you include like the art that is this black hole taking over the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, interesting thing there is that like in my head that's the black hole video, but nowhere
Yeah.
in a searchable manner is you have the word black hole, meaning it doesn't seem like it's in I haven't read your description, but no one reads descriptions anyway. But it's not in your title, so it's funny. You just have it there on text on the screen over the thumbnail, which we all do. But it's weird how that stuff can be like the stuff you think about, like, oh, that's imprinted on my head, and it was like such an afterthought. Like, oh, I did the thumbnail, and then I was like, oh, with black holes, and it's like, no, it's the black hole video. Like,
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting that you say that. The first video, the first devlog, well, the devlog that went kind of viral is, I think, the second devlog on that game. And in the first devlog, I included the word black hole in the title, and it didn't do really well at the time. I think it got maybe like 400, 500 views. Or like maybe a little bit more. But, and then on the second video, I had a video concept that was kind of already pretty clickbaity in and of itself. Kind of a bug became a feature. And so it just felt like the natural title to name it.
yeah, they complement each other really well. Always heard that, like, you should have a title with text. Obviously, your title has text, but your thumbnail should have text, but they shouldn't be like, I'm saying the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Which I'm guilty of doing sometimes, where it's like, this is a game jam, and the thing I'm like, game jam, and you're like, yeah, obviously, I already read that part, idiot. Like,
Yeah, that's a good point. I have a few videos doing that too, and I kind of recently I've tried to try to ask a question in the title and answer it in the thumbnail or something of that sort.
yeah, it feels like we're all wandering in the dark there, but when we have success, we're like, obviously, guys, it's this one, and then we do it again and it doesn't work. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so lost.
Absolutely, that's absolutely.
You know who that kid?
How it feels.
Kind of work with it. Kind of work with Skyline, because I remember he came out with that one video and he had that one thumbnail with like the text, and it was like really big, and it was like really like deep fried thumbnail, and then he kept with that same thumbnail style. And I feel like since then, since he's been using it, it's his views have been consistently higher than they were before. And I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his channel in a while.
Yeah. I don't think any of them have reached the same height as the original video with the original thumbnail, but it's interesting to see. Maybe there was like something else, because it's that same thing that you guys were talking about. It's like I don't know what made this video like blow up. We try to recreate it, and it's like some random, like you just don't know what to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what to like, what did it? What was this thing that did it?
Yeah. I think maybe people don't kind of appreciate the role that luck has in these kinds of things.
Entirely.
Like, there are things that are just not in your control.
Anytime my video doesn't do well, I'm like, unlucky, I can't believe it.
Yeah, pretty good video. Just
Absolutely.
algorithm didn't.
Absolutely.
You played around twice with doing shorts, right? I'm looking here.
I did.
So how did that go for you? What's your experience?
Okay, so the first one was just kind of like no voiceover, just like some generics, how it started, how it's going, if I remember correctly. And it got a couple views. But the second one, I kind of trained myself how to do a shorts voice, like that kind of high energy.
What could possibly be that voice? I made a game today. Wow, it's always like the
that's
most.
Pretty
like,
much
obnoxious.
it. That's pretty much it.
It's just
like
screaming.
Hyper energetic YouTuber voice, and it actually worked kind of well. It got like 10,000 views. But shorts, I gotta say, shorts in the YouTube algorithm are so weird. Like, my short got like 0 views on the first hour, 9,000 views on the second hour, and then 0 views on the third hour.
Wow,
like,
It's always like that. Yeah.
You know that bar graph that you have in the YouTube analytics? You have those kind of bars. There was just one massive bar and tiny little dots spread around it.
100%.
Super weird.
I think all of my shorts are done like that. It's weird. I actually don't know why. I haven't looked into it because I'm like, oh, a lot of views. Oh, great. I'm not complaining. But yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, you never see like those tails like with your normal videos or like a gradual slope, which is weird.
I kind of understand it though, because the rate people push out shorts, there's no place for them to exist after their like first hit. Because like YouTube videos, you have your first hit, video is considered new, and then after that, it's like you have this long tail depending on what people coming to your channel for stuff. But
you can have like an evergreen video.
Right. But then for shorts, it feels like it gets its like shelf space, and then it's basically expired. And you're like, no, this is done now. And like I'll get a comment like maybe once. I want to say once a month on a video. It'll be like one short will get a comment once. Then a different short will get a different comment the next month. It's like that slow, and you're like, okay, this is like ultra dead. Have you ever considered or I've seen people do this where they remove a short and re-upload it. I know you only have 2, so I guess it'd be if you did more of them and you felt they were worth doing. But would you ever do that, like delete and
That's
re-upload?
an interesting concept. I wonder if it would work. I wonder if like YouTube wouldn't catch on, because I feel like the algorithm has like tools against spam bots and such. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it would get flagged as like spam.
I know that if you upload the exact same video, that YouTube catches it and says like, "Hey, you already uploaded this video. Like this already exists on your channel." But I think if you delete it, it doesn't catch it. And also, I know that Maxi's last video, or the Waldo video, that was a re-uploaded video. And I don't know if you know Polynite or Dino. Have you?
I've spoken to him.
Both of his videos are also re-uploads. Like he took them down and then he re-uploaded them, and they both they both have over 1 million. But those are like long form videos, so I don't know how that would be. But I would assume if it works for long form, yeah.
He re-uploaded both those?
Yes, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're both re-uploads.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And did they not do well at first?
I don't think they did well. I know Max's for sure didn't do well, but then after the re-upload, I think they both did something to it. I think Polynite, he had some sort of issue with his video, so he like took it down, re-edited it, and put it back up. And it was like some black space in the beginning, like a minute of black space, just like randomly in the beginning.
That's pretty understandable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Max's pacing was wrong, so he redid his whole. He like started off slow in the beginning, and then I remember his re-edit was like he had a bit where he was like knocking on the door, and then the cops show up, or some bit like that, and he put it in the very beginning. It was like the very first 10 seconds, and it was like he definitely changed the timing of the whole video.
Yeah. You know, for that, I said to Maxi, I was like, "Yo, that new intro you got, bro, it sucks. Just go with the old one."
I told him good advice. I said, your thumbnail doesn't make it look like it's a game, so you gotta put gameplay in there. And he's like, oh, all right, yeah. He's like, I'll do that. And then and then he gave me no credit. All right, I want to be like, thanks, Zeth, specifically for saving my video.
You should get like half the revenue.
Yeah, I want like $30. That's a good point.
I had a question about one of your videos. I wanted to know. It seemed like more of a experiment, and I wanted to know how you took it or how you thought it went. It was the laser video. I don't know if you know the one that I'm talking about.
Oh,
yeah. So the laser video, the thing that made it special, and in my eyes, is that it wasn't really like a devlog. It was more like sort of like a documentary, kind of, right?
I structured it kind of like the kinds of video essays that I like. It was weird. I think it didn't do that well view-wise. I was really proud of it when it came out. I kind of, for those of you who don't know, I kind of went into the history of lasers in media and video games and why they look the way they do. And then I implemented it in my game. And some people said it worked really well, like the combination of this kind of historical look and video game devlog. But some people said it was jarring. Some people said like, yo, this should have been 2 different videos.
Really? Yeah, but as a game developer, like we can't do a video. It feels weird for us to do a video off niche. Of being like, this one I talked about Star Wars and lasers. Check out my next video where I relate this to every other video on my channel. Like,
that was my thought process. I was like, I just kind of fell in love with this topic. I thought it was really interesting, and I kind of weaved it with the topic that my channel is known for, at least somewhat, and. I think it came out. I think I managed to combine them pretty decently, and lasers are in my game.
Yeah, exactly. Your most recent video. Now you've finished Singularity, and you Singularium. I said that.
Enrique, I might just have to rename it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Singularium.
No, it's cool.
I don't know why I wrote it down as Singularity. But so Singularium.
It's totally fine.
Singularium.
Yeah, I finished. Yeah.
So I saw your recent one, and it was kind of like it reminded me of Sebastian League. I don't know how you pronounce his name.
That's a great compliment.
Yeah. I thought it was like such a brilliant video. Is that what's going to be like the future of no worries of your channel from now on?
Yeah, I mean, that's the direction I want to go in. Well, I might have, commercial game devlogs, but in that style. I'm not sure yet. or it could just all be kind of these miscellaneous projects. But absolutely, it's these kind of animated, 3 blue, 1 brown, if you know who he is, inspired, kind of, clean, informative videos. I just really liked the style, and I wanted to replicate it.
You know who it kind of reminded me of? When I first saw it, it reminded me a lot of, I don't know if you know him, Versidium.
You don't know if I know him.
For listeners, that's the owner of the Discord server that got us all introduced. So obviously we would all know him.
He's pretty well known.
But it reminded me of Versidium in that style. And I was like wondering, how long did it take you to edit that video? Because I feel like
oh, you have no idea.
That was my question.
I think it must have taken me like, I didn't count the hours, and I'm kind of sorry I didn't, because it must have been like probably more than 24 hours stuck together. But I made it over the course of like a month and a half.
Oh yeah.
Scripting and recording included. But wow, yeah, I had to learn the animation tool that I used from scratch, because I'd never used it before.
What were you using?
I used Motion Canvas. It was developed. I don't know if you know this. It was developed by another game dev YouTuber. I think he's called Artificial. He's developing like this 2D platformer, and he's got a few really successful videos on like game architecture, and he developed this tool for animated devlog type things, and I thought it was really cool. It was really fun to use, but I had to learn it from scratch, so that took time.
Is that the one with where you have to write your own like animations through code? Is it? Wait.
Uh-oh.
Have we lost him?
Did we lose him?
Oh, welcome back. I forgot what question I was about to ask.
Sorry, I made it about me immediately.
Okay, yeah, I'm really sorry.
No,
that was embarrassing.
That's okay.
Niv disconnected, and then as soon as he connected, I was like, I'm going to talk about me. I was like, never mind. Kobe asked you this awful question, and you quit abruptly because you're like, this is bullshit. But he asked about... I'm sorry.
It was totally because of you.
It's like the editing software, right?
Yeah.
You asked if it was like done in code, like, or does that mean you're doing the animations? When I first saw the video, and I was just watching it recently, and I was like, oh, it looks like it's After Effects, but now you're telling me it's not. It's something else, huh?
Oh yeah, it's a tool called Motion Canvas. It's animated through code. I don't know if this got recorded, but it's developed by another game dev YouTuber.
Yeah.
We did
got a video about video game architecture. I think Kobe asked you. I guess that was what Kobe asked.
Yeah, that was kind of the question.
It was like,
was
it done through code?
If it was,
what does it use? Yeah. What language does it use?
It uses TypeScript. It's really weird. It's I've never used TypeScript before, actually, and it was... I mean, it's an interesting language. It kind of feels like you're kind of... If you guys have experience in web development, it kind of feels similar to that in some places.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good tool. I enjoyed using it.
Like CSS?
No, it's like CSS.
Well, it's got some elements of CSS. And then some elements of just like, generic game development type coding.
From my understanding, I thought TypeScript was based off of JavaScript, but
it's based off of JavaScript.
It introduces
types. You have HTML tag. You have HTML tags in like certain places. So yeah.
And JavaScript is used in like the web frameworks a lot, so that would make sense why. It's all web based.
Kind of each object is represented as you kind of add it as an HTML tag thing, and you have CSS properties to like change how it looks and behaves, and you can animate those.
Yeah, I wanted to learn it, but it seemed so complicated, and I was like, nah, I can't be bothered learning it. I can't be. It's gonna take too much time. So I was like,
I'll tell you what, it was complicated to get into, but once you understand the basics, it's kind of like a game engine in that regard. Like once you get the basics, once you kind of understand the logic that's powering it, it becomes really fun to use.
I saw that most recent video that you did where you were I know Kobe was just talking about it, but it seems like you were experimenting a lot with just like different techniques for rendering. Have you ever thought about getting into making your own game engine?
Oh God. Oh, you really want me to become Versidium now?
Yeah, he's really pushing for that.
No, well, I'll tell you what. Making an engine seems like one of the most difficult challenges I can think of that has anything to do with game development. And I'm honestly not sure I'm that good of a programmer yet. Like, I think I can handle myself with code. And probably this Flatland video was the most challenging code project I've undergone. But like, I still think I'm probably not ready to like take on that kind of big scale, hyper complicated, fully fledged game engine project just yet. But I definitely want to experiment with it in the future.
Dude, it's so weird to think about. So in my head, there's like the history of indie games that have existed for like a long time, probably since like 2008, 2009. It felt like that's when Xbox was being like, oh, the Summers Arcade. I don't know how old you guys are. If any of this resonates with you. But in my head, these are all indie games that were like really popular and really big, and there's things that I aspired to be, right? And so it'd be games like Braid, Castle Crashers, and like Super Meat Boy. And it, for some reason, I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder if it was made in Unity or this. And I was like, no. Every game back then, they were making their own engine. Like every fucking game. Yeah. That blows my mind.
That's crazy.
Because I was listening to Jonathan Blow talk about like he had like a Braid anniversary. Braid's like this puzzle platformer game. And he was just talking about how like he had the frameworks of this engine. Because what you would do is you would make an engine, and you would make a game on it, and then you move on to your second game, and you'd like piece together this like shambling monster of an engine. I mean, ideally, it's things you want, and you know how you built it, so you know how to control it. But it seemed like a bloated nightmare. It's in some stages where it's like, oh yeah, there's all this code for like 3D, and it's like, well, it's Braid. Like it's just. Well, I guess that's true for Godot, or any engine. But holy fuck, that's why I'm like, I think of like, oh, I'm not a real game developer. It's like two reasons. One, I don't have a game released. That's probably the biggest one. But the other one is like, man, if I had my own engine, I'd be like, yeah, fuck you. I know what I'm doing, but I don't. So.
Is that true? Because I know Unity has been around for a while, like a really good while. And so has...
Unity's been around since 05, I think. Yeah. But like, it wasn't mainstream at all. Zeth is totally right. I've seen like GDC talks of people, talking about how they developed their engine for like 4 years and then they began making their indie game. It's crazy things that like, you can't really imagine doing that today, right? You wouldn't say, okay, I want to make a game and then spend 4 years developing an engine.
Some guys do on YouTube, and I actively like criticize, like, why would you ever do this? This is so dumb. Not realizing this is the history of indie game development. It's like, this is what you used to do. And I was like, what an idiot. Yeah. I was like, no, it's like, it is smart to do, but like, holy fuck, is it a big time sink? Like, you have to have like...
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually don't agree with that.
You don't say. Gearing up for the intro cuts. Here we go.
No, I feel like like before when, it wasn't as available, that might have been like smart to do. But I feel like people who are making their own engines now, like there are already solutions for a lot of what people want to do. And I actually don't know the numbers for this, but I feel like at least half of the time they don't need to make their own engine, right? Like anything that they want to do, they could do inside of Unity or an Unreal or Godot. There are some special cases like what was that game? Noida?
Yeah.
Like that game was like crazy because it like had like instances of
pushes technology.
It's like pixels, like every single pixel had like sort of like an attribute. And I think that makes sense.
It was a material, right?
Yeah. I'm not exactly too sure how it works, but
yeah, it's like those powder games. Every pixel on the screen is simulated, I think.
Yeah. And I feel like that game, it makes sense to make your own engine because like even in Unity, if you're how much do you know about dots or ECS?
I haven't played with it at all, honestly. But it seems like a cool tool. I'll probably try it eventually.
Yeah. I want to get into it too.
The thing I made back in the day was awful. Had awful performance. It ran at like 20 FPS on my computer. I had to speed up the footage for the video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, what did you make? You made like a Noida clone, or what did you do?
No, I made like that kind of style. It's like those powder games that used to be really popular, like where you place sand and it falls. I made that.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy. I thought you were like talking about. I'm actually not familiar with that video, but yeah, I think
didn't do his research.
Sorry.
Coming into the podcast, I asked Henry.
That's a deep cut. I would be surprised if you saw it.
I asked Henry, "Oh, are you gonna do research?" And he's like, Nah, I think I'll wing it.
And because I know NivMiz so much, I've been a huge fan.
Yeah, to be fair,
sure.
I'm not that big a fan. So it doesn't seem like.
I appreciate that, man.
I like to have fans, whether they're fake or not. It's good to always have them.
I was curious about your release because I saw that video that you put out saying that it failed.
Oh yeah.
What do you consider a failure?
Yeah,
I
that's an
watched it,
example.
but I feel like it bounced off me. There's so many videos I take in, and it's hard to remember everything.
Oh yeah, I totally understand you. I made, at the time I recorded that video, I think my net revenue was like $1,600. Now it's a bit over 2,000.
Ooh.
But yeah, in terms of how long it took me to make the game and general indie game revenues, it's definitely not a financial success. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if you remember the video, but this is kind of an example of asking a question and answering it, sort of, where the thumbnail said my game failed, and then the title was "But I'm happy about it."
Right.
And I said that because game dev is not my full-time job, and so honestly, it was just like super rewarding to see, speed runs of my game on YouTube, or people in my Discord talking about how much fun they had, or even like a review on Steam that said this user has 50 hours on your game. That's insane. Like something I made got someone to spend 50 hours on it. It's just really cool to see.
Yeah, that sounds really rewarding to see.
I think you also said in that video as well, it was like, even though it was 10 months and $1,600 in 10 months is definitely like not good. You can't live up that. It was like you're making money off the hobby, right? So if you have, if like anyone else has a hobby and they enjoy, doing that hobby and they spend time doing it, that's considered fine. But like you're making money on top of that, on top of having fun.
Yeah.
Most of the time having fun. I mean, there's definitely some downsides of game dev.
I don't know. 2 weeks pre-release were kind of...
Yeah.
I don't know if I could call that fun.
Yeah. But maybe it's just those 2 weeks that were,
No, but it's stuff that I would be doing anyway. So I'm just glad, it's just cool to make a little bit of money on, on the side from something that I would be doing anyway.
For sure. 100%. For Singularium, when you're making that, I'm trying to get my head around the game as I'm watching the videos of it and stuff, and I've seen it a lot, but I've never played it. But so are you designing levels and then sort of going from level to level on that? It looks like, for the most part, right?
Yeah. It's a pretty linear game. It's just levels that you speed run.
Gotcha.
The thing that took a long time to make in the development process was just levels, because it's a combination of things that make the levels really hard to design. The game is a speedrunning game, so the levels have to be really, really long for them to take any amount of time to make.
Right.
To play. Because the player's going at like 500 units per second or whatever. And so, I don't know if the viewers know how big Unity units are, but, each level was like 2,000 Unity units in length. So it takes a long time to make that interesting, right? There have to be turns and stuff.
Yeah.
And also it's a 3D game where you make use of, the entire 3D space because of the black hole grappling mechanic. So you have to have like loop-de-loops and vertical stuff, and this is a combination of things that make levels, pretty tedious to make. So the game ended up pretty short on levels, but there's a level editor, so I feel like it at least.
Have you ever considered going back and adding more stuff to it?
I have, but I was fucking burnt out on that level, on that game for the 2-3 months after releasing, or 1 or 2 months after releasing. So I might go back in a bit to add some more levels, add a chapter or whatever. But for now I'm on other projects.
What else are you working on now? Because I know you just finished that 1D game.
So the 1D game took me a while to make, the rendering engine. I am currently working on a follow-up for that video because people seem to generally enjoy it and the style, and I think that I have more to say on the subject. I think I might make kind of different perspectives on these kind of different dimensional concepts. Like I really like Code Parade, if you know him.
Yeah.
Where he makes non-Euclidean and 4D things.
Yeah.
So I thought of kind of
Sorry.
Going into that area.
Henry, it's just like, yeah, of course, and everyone's like, yeah, I know that guy. I was like, what's it called?
Non-Euclidean.
Non-Euclidean. It's like worlds in different dimensions and different kind of types of geometry. It's weird things, and I really enjoy the math behind them. And so I'm kind of working on different implementations of that kind of thing.
Seems technically challenging. I would be scared to do stuff like that.
It's funny that you mention.
Oh no.
Next episode, Discord.
In case you get cut out. It is funny. It is funny that. It's funny that NivMiz mentioned that, because literally a few hours ago, I think Henry and I were talking about Code Parade and that like non-Euclidean geometry.
We were.
You guys are nerds. Yeah. Get out of here. You know what I was doing? I was sleeping in, all right? Because I was up all night. No, I wasn't.
Okay. But I think that's such a cool idea. 4D stuff. Like if I had enough brains and enough knowledge, I would definitely make a 4D game.
Sell me on it. What do you mean 4D? Isn't the fourth dimension time? I'm just saying stairs going upside down. MCS.
This guy doesn't know anything about it.
He doesn't even
know what 4D I'm asking as a listener. Oh wow, you're gonna sit there on your high horse. He wasn't even explaining anything to me. The average listener is scratching their head being like,
the average listener.
Okay. Real quick. I can welcome back. Sorry. I just want to explain what Euclidean geometry is. So basically, Euclidean geometry is like the geometries like that we're all used to, where we assume that everything is on a flat plane. But non-Euclidean geometry has things that disagree with that, right? It's based off of the, what is it called? Postulates, where it says like any two lines that are... Well, you
parallel will never
intersect. You literally asked me the question. You said what is non-Euclidean geometry? And then guess what? Now all of a sudden, too boring for the fucking audience, right?
Correct.
You're fucking
No, it's not boring. It's very interesting.
It's just because you can't.
I got a postulate on my left foot.
Okay,
right now.
so one of the big things is like parallel lines, right? On a flat plane. When you have two parallel lines, they never touch, correct?
Correct.
Yep. In non-Euclidean geometry, it is not assumed that we are always on a flat plane. So we could be on a sphere, and if we're on a sphere, two parallel lines...
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm back.
Two parallel lines? What? You gotta bring it home, Henry. Hold on. Shut up. We're talking to Henry.
Two parallel lines can intersect on a sphere. You're talking about
meet.
A sphere, bro. Look at it. Bro, this guy...
I got a spherical thing. This is a coffee.
You're talking about spherical geometry? Non-Euclidean.
Yep. Stuff. Yeah. Because
I think I understand it entirely now, and I think it's for babies. I think.
Sure. Explain 4D geometry then.
Let me tell you right now, why have 4D when 2D suffices? 2D is doing great.
Oh, shut up. Your 2D supremacy. You'll never learn 3D.
It'd be great if I jumped from 2 to 4D. I was like, you know what? 4D is the new...
Yeah. 4D's a video by Code Parade where he was talking about how he jumped into 5D, but
no way. 5D? That's too much. That's too
like
much.
Clickbait. I don't know if I buy it.
That's too much. It's like those videos on YouTube when you have like 8D, 11D, and it's just like bullshit.
By the way, Niv, welcome back. I'm sorry, I was just joking when I said Henry was about to finish something and I was trolling him.
No, it's totally fine. I moved to a different room. My Wi-Fi was really bad. I am sorry about that.
You're good.
Non-Euclidean geometry is like, it's just a really cool concept to me. I think, the combination of math and game dev is like super cool, representing math in a visual way.
Yeah. I feel like the
almost about to say nerd. He's gonna say, he's like right next to his microphone. Nerd.
I get it.
I was waiting for anything like the postulates, and I was gonna snore again. But there was he brought it home. All right. I want to be mean to our guests.
No, you can call me a nerd. I'm a self-proclaimed nerd.
Henry's pointed out that I'm way nerdier than I let on, because he'd be like, "Bro, what'd you do when you grew up?" I was like, "I used to watch G4 TV and play Magic," and he was like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Go outside."
Oh wait, you used to play Magic, Zach?
Yeah, I used to play Magic like nonstop. I was really, really, really into Magic.
So do you kind of recognize the my username? It's based on the magic card.
Is it dragon?
Yeah, those NivMiz.
Is that really
dragon.
where it's from? Oh yeah, I never put that together.
Yeah, that's where it's from.
My first deck ever was like is it's the two colors put together? Was blue red?
I think it's blue and red.
Yeah, blue red.
It's been a while, but yeah, that's where it came from. I was like 13. I made a Discord account, and I'm like, yeah, I guess the first thing that popped into my head was the magic card.
It's catchy.
Yeah, I love Magic. I think it's one of the best games, like design-wise, that I've ever fucking played. It's like it's so good that like I'm scared to ever try to play Standard again because I'm like it gets you so sucked in. It's insane how there's so many elements of that game that grab you and you're like I can't let go.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played, but it's a really good game. I remember it very fondly.
A lot of my close friends will still go to they'll go to the tournaments and like try to do well, but there's a lot of people. It's a very popular game. And it's just so intense. And it's hard. One of those hard things where once you fall off, you feel like the game, it just like leaves you behind. It gets more and more stuff happening, and then you're like, I don't know what's going on anymore. But yeah, it's addictive. Oh my god, I miss it sometimes.
That's interesting. What like inspired you to get into game development? Is like, are there any like, well, obviously you played Magic, but like, is there anything more that like drew you to it?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think. Oh yeah, I remember now. It was kind of during COVID, and I was just learning how to program in general. Like I think I was doing Python at the time, and I came across some videos from Sam Hogan. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah.
He hasn't made a video in a while, but I saw his like recreating Minecraft or something, and I was like in love. I thought it was insane that you can just like boot up some software and make a game. And so at first I tried to like make stuff in Python because, you know, it was what I was working on. And so I made stuff in Python and then obviously I was Googling how to make actual games and not like shitty Pygame things. And so I came across Unity and Brackeys and it just kind of felt natural to start learning C# and stuff.
Gotcha. I have a question.
Wait, so you would say that you came from like a YouTube side? Like you were just seeing videos and you're like, oh wait, I want to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not that big of an actual gamer, to tell you the truth. I don't
the podcast.
play
Let's
it.
kick him out.
Yeah, get him out of here. Bullshit. I'm gonna go watch G4.
I don't play that many games.
That's good.
I probably the last game I played for like a while intensely was Tears of the Kingdom, which was like a couple months ago.
What's your favorite game of all time?
Breath of the Wild.
It'd be great if you said like the hula hoop. I'd be like, that's based. Solid game.
Basketball.
Yeah, I like Jacks. You ever play that game?
Poker.
Wait, did you ever like the old Zeldas or just the new Switch Zoomer Zeldas?
I played Ocarina of Time before I played Breath of the Wild, but I'm a Zoomer through and through. I did not grow up with these.
Henry's right. Get him off the book.
Hey, how old are you?
I'm 17.
Damn.
Well,
couldn't tell.
Yes. Come on.
I don't know why, but I just thought you were like maybe you were in college and you were like working at like some I don't know why, but I thought you were working at some like firm like a legal firm. I don't know why I had that impression of you. I don't know where that
making so. This is a danger of like
lore about you.
Imagination. He's gonna like spread some rumors someday. It's gonna be detrimental.
You created like a whole persona of me.
Henry thinks about you every night.
He's a successful lawyer.
I don't know if I heard that or if I'm like confusing me with someone else, but that's crazy. I didn't know you were so young.
There are rumors about me in the game dev community about how I'm a lawyer.
I've been starting the rumors. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, he's a lawyer. He's going to be on the next episode. Like, what?
Oh, my God.
That's crazy. I didn't know you were...
Henry, how bad do you feel now that a 17-year-old has a game on Steam and you're like, oh, God damn it.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Dude, wait, $2,000 at 17 years old. Holy fuck, that's way different than at, like, you know what I mean, when you're living on your own. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the fact that I don't need to pay rent is probably... the biggest factor to making it not a complete failure.
Rent is rough, but yeah.
This
you're like, oh, it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
But if I had a hobby in high school that was paying me $1,700 or something, I'd be like, all right, Jesus Christ.
Bro, this kind of shit is perspective.
So, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I guess I haven't. I guess I haven't mentioned my age on my YouTube channel. For some reason, it hasn't been relevant.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Oh yeah, hi, I'm NivMiz. I make games. I'm 17.
Yeah. I don't know if you know
You're
Cloud, but
DMs from...
Cloud is like the same age as you, and it strikes me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so strange because when I was like your guys' age, like high school, bro, I was not.
Well, I finished high school. I just finished high school.
Oh, gotcha. Even still, like even around that time, like I was not doing like any of the stuff that you guys were doing. I took a programming class in high school, but it was like really simple, like HTML, CSS stuff.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. I have a programming class in my high school, and the teacher and I just have like, we're bros. We have an agreement. He knows I know the material.
Oh, so you just like do whatever, like in class? Oh,
yeah. I think I made games at some points during class.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's so funny because sorry.
That's literally how I started as well. Made games in class.
I was taking a web development course, but in my school, for some reason they made us take a game development semester also. So I actually jumped into Unity in high school, but I was like super uninterested, and I was like basically like asking people to write the code for me. I was like, I don't care about that. And it's so crazy to think about it now. Like it would have been so useful now, if I would have like paid attention or done anything. But it's I don't know, it's crazy to think that I don't know, you're so young, you're like doing like all this crazy stuff, and it's like, damn, bro, you still have like so much time after to like capitalize off of like all this work that you're putting into it. It makes me
jealous.
Another element to that, Henry, is that like, okay, you're thinking about that with him now, but then I was going back his old videos, like him 3 years ago. So what? You're like,
yeah, I was tiny. Yeah. I was tiny.
And you sound the same, by the way. So I'm like, what? That's what threw me, because it's like, I mean, it sounds, I guess, younger, but it's like the microphone quality is a little worse because it's like a new YouTube channel. So I didn't think, but then there's a YouTuber that I started following and watching, Caleb Dev, who's a young kid, and he had videos that's like 4 months old, 3 months old, and then his last video before those two was 2 years ago, and it's like a night and day difference of like, oh, he was really young and now he's like, getting older. But for you, it wasn't that, so you definitely threw me off. I was like, oh shit, like, oh my god.
That's really funny. I didn't know that people had the impression I was like a 40-year-old lawyer.
I thought you were younger than me, but I thought you were like 25, 26, like, like not that much younger,
I actually assume everyone starts at like the 18 range because there's so many people in my Discord. They're like, yeah, I'm 18 years old. I want to do this. I want to do what Zeph does. I'm like, I work at a grocery store. I was like, no. Go to college, kids. Yeah. Don't go for art.
No, but I've seen your channel. You're blowing up, Zeph. You've gone on a big upwards stream lately.
We'll see. It feels so fickle.
Like I saw your channel. I came across your channel at like, I think I don't remember. It was like 3,000 subscribers, 4,000, and now you're like what, 30?
No, 26 ish.
26. That's like insane. You grew a ton.
Yeah. Zeph has like a crazy amount of growth, and every time we talk about it, he goes like, thanks. I was like, bro. Like,
I appreciate it, but it feels so unwarranted because you just put out the videos. Here's what I thought. Okay, so. Actually, let's just tie it to you real quick. So you have an itch page, right? We have games that you put on there. First off, he has like 19 games on here. I don't know how many games. I just made that up. But you have a bunch of games on here.
I have like 8 or 7.
3, 6, 9 games.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's games that I just made throughout my game development. Game jam games and stuff, and I just posted it there.
How long have you been doing game development?
Yeah, since COVID.
Since the womb.
I think
it came out.
Since born in 2020. Came out coding like Ada.
4 years old.
Yeah, I'm actually 40 years old right now. My 5th birthday is coming up.
He's got to go. It's nap time. That's unfortunate.
Is it bad that when you said since COVID, I thought, 2 years? Jeez, that's not a long time. It was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Time warps around lockdown.
Like the black hole.
Black holes. This guy warping around. That's all he's got. All right, so what I'm pointing out though is that you have these games on itch, but when I was doing that and getting to game dev, so I was 30 years old by the time I started, and I was like, shut the fuck up. But I was like, this seems like content. I was like making a thing. I knew the process to go through it. Like it was a week-long game jam, and I thought like, man, this was really hard and like a long journey. And even my first one, which was a bad video, I was striking on something there where it's like, a lot of what YouTube videos are telling a story, and the game jam does that so nice and concretely. You get a start, an end, your journey in the process, and then even a little reflection point at the end to go, hey, this is how it turned out. And it feels like a good way to bookend a video. It's actually a problem I have going forward doing game dev content, where it's like you have to artificially make that up when you're doing a bigger game. You have to say, hey, this...
Yeah, you have to tell like a smaller story.
Yeah, or figure out where to cut it off. I already had one mistake where I was like, I'm going to do a video that's... the overarching idea is like choices, and then I glued two things together, and then as I was recording stuff and like really finalizing the video, I was like, I'm like 6 minutes in on the first idea, and it's disconnected from the second idea. Should have been its own video. I was like, I don't know what I just wasted all this time doing this.
Yeah.
It's much harder that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you didn't do that for
difficult.
years. I mean, I know you're much younger, so you might not have had time. You're in school, you're doing everything while you're doing these game jams.
I was tiny. I was like embarrassed of posting things to YouTube at that point. No, but like I said, I did just have the idea of like, okay, yeah, I got inspired by these game dev YouTubers. Might as well try to make something myself. Mm-hmm. And so I made those older videos, and I was kind of blown away when my first video got like 150 views. Like, holy shit. And then I stopped after a while because I just got bored. But now that I'm back, I feel like this is kind of, it's going well. It's fun for me, probably more fun than back then. And yeah, so now everything that I make, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is an interesting story to tell a video, to make a video about.
Sure.
Yeah, but those older game jam games were like, I just made them for fun.
Fair enough. How did you stay motivated during like the whole almost a year, right, development process of
Singularium?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. I was not motivated. One second.
Were you just like determined and you set a schedule and just kept working, or?
That's pretty much it. I was like, I just said, I want to release a game. Like, this is my goal. I have been developing games for a while now. I want to have a start, have a middle, have an end, release it on Steam, make some money maybe, but like just kind of have that milestone.
Yeah.
And I just did it. Like, there were times when I was like more motivated, but honestly, the thing that I love most about game development is probably the actual programming and like logic and like making something that works in a certain way. So level design, which was like, 6 out of the 10 months that it took, was like really boring for me. So I just, when I sat down on the computer to, watch YouTube or whatever, I just put something in the background and worked on a level.
I miss that. I want to get to that point. I feel like I'm always working on systems, and when you work on systems, you have to be very active. At least I do. I can't have something on in the background. I have to, like, my code's falling apart and breaking on every step, and I have to be actively thinking about what I'm doing. The reverse of that is when you work on art or level design, you can put something on. I'm like, that's one of my favorite feelings in the whole world. Even
Henry
the way I play video
agree.
games. Henry never agrees with this take because it's just true. Okay.
No. I'm just saying I have the opposite problem where I feel like level systems design with programming is like, it's not that it just feels like easier for me, but whenever I have to work on like a level or something, it's just it takes so much effort, or like art or something, because I'm not an artist, right?
I think I have to force myself to make levels, sort of.
Yeah.
Like I hate it. I enjoy systems and like crafting mechanics much more.
I have a question.
Yes, you can go.
I have a question.
No.
Yeah, you have permission to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think this is my theory? Do you think that you don't like level design because you don't know how to do it?
I don't like it because it fucking sucks. But
Cringe.
Nice opinion.
No, I think it's probably because of that. Like, I would imagine that the things I'm good at, I enjoy more.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the natural way that we kind of work.
100%.
But after 6 months of making levels, I think I've gotten better at them, but I still hate them.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just kind of a predisposition.
Yeah.
I can buy your game and I can start making levels in it. There's a level creator.
There is, but it works in like a weird way. Like, I couldn't figure out how to get like a proper sharing system like through Steam.
Oh.
So how the way they work is, well, I couldn't figure it out in time, right?
Yeah.
Because I had a deadline. But so the way they work, you create a level, you download it as a file, as a type of file, and then you can share that file wherever you want.
Okay. Oh, like outside of the game.
Gotcha.
Like I could give it to
him.
So you.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. There's like a forum on my Discord.
Yeah, I was about to ask like how do you go about sharing that, because I know I don't know how the Steam Workshop works, but I feel like that would be kind of complicated to get into.
Yeah, Steam Workshop, it was like a pain to try to figure it out. I couldn't, like the Steamworks.net documentation. I don't know if you guys have tried to work with this before, but it's really bad, like really bad. Yeah. And it doesn't seem to work at all with C#. You have to like try to translate it from C++ to C#. It sucks. It working with the Steam API was not fun.
Yeah,
that's not a good thing to hear. Oh,
no. No.
I'm sure you guys will be. You'll be great.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
You're not a complete idiot, Kobe. You'll be all right.
For the record, if you need help making like a leaderboard or whatever, you can totally message me. Yeah. I spent days banging my head against the wall trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, that's definitely something I want to add. Your game reminded me a lot of Airborne by Black Dev. He does have like a level editor as well, and it's linked to the Steam Workshop. So I think if you have any questions, you can definitely ask him.
Also,
I developed it before I really knew him, but like, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, I actually have a story about Black Dev. After I released my game, I think I was having bugs with like my some users couldn't load custom levels properly, and I remember at some point I was like watching one of Black's videos, and he talks about having a bug where people in a certain region couldn't load levels because their computers used commas as decimal separators. Yeah. So like pi would be 3,1415. And it's really weird because C# uses the system's default as the way to save strings. And so I was watching his video and he was like, yeah, the way I fixed it, I just had to make everything use a dot. And I was like, wait, could it be that it's the same issue? And it ended up being the same issue.
That's crazy.
And it was crazy. I just came across his video and it solved that bug for me.
I remember seeing that in your video as well. I was binge watching all your videos last night, giving you some watch time, and I remember you saying that in the video as well. I was like, oh, that's actually so smart. Yeah,
I remember that too. You know, I think this is a hot take that I feel like a lot of people would disagree with.
I'm ready.
But
oh no!
For the content, this will be the thumbnail.
That kind of shit where it's like that little thing and it's like such like an edge case that you can't even recreate on your computer. I feel like those are the most fun bugs to fix.
Fuck you! You're so wrong. I can't believe I was about to say the opposite.
What do you mean?
It's so wrong. That's like the stuff that makes me never want to code anything ever. Full stop. Yes, it's like that game works totally fine, but if you live in Bimbleton, all of a sudden all the characters are upside down now, and you're like, I'm gonna give this a bad review on Steam and tell all my friends that I want you to die, and I'm like, Henry's like, I should like that.
I fucking hate those reviews. Yes. I have like one review where it's like no ultra wide support. That's all, and it's a negative review. Yeah. And then like 2 days afterwards, I added ultra-wide support, and he added it in a comment underneath his review. I saw you added ultra-wide support. But he didn't change his review from negative, so I have no idea what his problem with the game was other than it not having ultra-wide support. And it's these kinds of things that you can't test on your computer. You can't test if ultra-wide works on your non-ultra-wide computer.
Yeah.
Well, now with your $2,000, you have to invest in some
in an ultra wide monitor.
You could say it's a tax write off. You're like, I needed it for to make sure this game came out correctly.
You need to buy a ticket to Europe to test your computer.
I'm realizing now that your ultra wide problem has emotionally scarred me because I remember that in the video and I brought it up like 3 times in 3 episodes of the podcast. Well, what if you don't have ultra wide? And Henry's like, yeah, you say that every time. And I'm like, yeah, because it happened. And I was like, it's gonna happen to me. Ultra wide.
It's
I've never thought about
gamers' reviews are. Yeah, you shouldn't because it's not something you should think about in your normal development process. But then people leave you crazy reviews on Steam.
I have a little bit of a hot
Oh yeah,
take.
I live in Paraguay, but what?
No,
Oh my
go
god,
ahead.
not
Go
again.
ahead, go ahead. Sorry,
Come
sorry.
on.
Well, I thought
No,
Henry was
no,
gonna
no.
say something like, "Well, you have to consider your users because it does really matter." It's like in the same way we make YouTube videos
Yeah.
and we don't consider like the viewer, like why click on a thing or why. It's like sometimes you get wrapped up in the creation process and we don't think enough about the person playing it.
Yeah, you know,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like there is like two sides to the coin where I feel like you when you're making the game, like it is very much your game, and I think if you want it to be financially successful and want it to be like appeal to a lot of people, you do have to think about the users, but at the same time, it's your game, like you're making your game. But I also feel on the opposite side of that coin, when you release it and people are playing it, it's no longer your game, you know? Like it's not, and I feel like there's this isn't related to anything that we were talking about, but there's this like mentality of like, oh, I want my players to play my game the way that I intended for them to play it. But that's, you know, at that point, I feel like you're asking too much. Like you're overstepping your bounds as a game developer because you're not experiencing the game. They are, you know? Anyways, that's
a good point. I kind of understand where you're coming from. I think in general I agree with you. I think like those kinds of not adding accessibility options because I want you to play the game at the difficulty that I intended instead of adding some easier modes for people that can't play these hard modes. I see that a lot, and I see where you're coming from. But once you've released a game, I think you have to kind of accept that people will do with it what they want to. Like it's out of your control at that point.
I think that in terms of like the difficulty thing, where you're like, I'm gonna like ask more of my player base to be like, you guys just need to be better. I'm not going to make the game easier. Right?
Skill issue.
Right. The idea of doing that, we have such survivorship bias for that because we don't see the countless games that had come out and before Dark Souls and continue to come out that are just have skill issues where players are turned off and the game immediately fails. And then when you start making stuff and giving it to people, you'll notice that like they'll fail in interesting, weird ways where you want as a developer to go like, well, I want more of my player. It's like, well, the player just left.
Yeah.
You have to have that audience.
You have to understand. You have to understand when to challenge them.
The more you challenge your audience, the more you have to. The more you challenge your audience, the more you have to have sort of a name for yourself, a reason. So they're like, no, I want to play this person's game. I want to be challenged. But if you just start challenging them, all of a sudden, like, and I feel it too as someone who's played a lot of game jams, which admittedly they're really easy to quit because you know that they're like these small little bite-sized experiences. But you feel it, you're like, this is a waste of my time. You have to make me want to care. It's very hard to do that.
I feel like difficulty is such a. It's also just hard to balance for. I feel like you, Zeth, you tend to make your games like as difficult.
I do.
For you, like you balance it around yourself.
You're a god gamer.
Yeah.
No, it's not even. I am true, but it's not even that. It's like you're playing your own game and no one else is, and then you're giving them a version of the game that maybe is intermediate level of like, oh, I think you should be at this level because I've been developing it and everything. But you need to give them something that's really baby easy, and then it's also good to experience that. Like, oh no, this was easy, and then I moved on to the harder stuff because it feels good to grow. But it's hard to. I make like mental notes of like, don't fucking do this. Don't make the game the right difficulty right away. Make it very easy and slowly go into the harder difficulty.
I feel like I haven't had a game where it was like, I had like even that option of like adding difficulty.
No, you have. Shut up.
What
You're
game?
playing imagine the arrow game, right? You're like, how many shots to kill a guy? How fast does the guy move?
That is the one example I was going to bring up because I remember that game and I remember actively thinking when I was like playing it, I was like, this is way too easy. But I know, like as a game developer, if I think it's too easy, it might probably be okay for other people. And when it came out, people were like, oh, this was very fun. There was like one or two comments saying like this was a little bit easy, but there were most other comments were like, this is good. And there were a couple comments saying this was too hard, you know? And I think I think, not to pat myself on the back too much, but I'm the best game developer in the world. So
you just cut out. I thought you just said some bullshit that didn't make sense.
No, but I think that generally, I think I'm pretty good at trying to discern difficulty off of my experience. But I don't know how well that scales for most players. But I feel like that is something that you have to actively like push against when you're thinking about balancing in your game?
Niv, did you have problems with balancing or back and forth on how hard to make levels or to make levels get harder?
On Singularium, I don't remember having that problem because like I said, I don't really play that many games, so I must say I'm not a good gamer.
But it might be a better starting place.
Well, yeah, sort of. So I think I probably most of my levels are a bit too easy, like on the easier side. But because it's a speedrunning game, people can find their own fun even in an easy level. So I kind of cheated in that regard. But towards the end, when I was getting good enough at my own game to like be able to make really difficult levels, I did. And so I think the final chapters or the final few levels of the game are like decently challenging, and people can have some difficult times playing them. And yeah, people have told me like oh my god, I hate this level so much. Why did you make it so hard? But then, people who are a bit more practiced at these types of parkour games have mostly told me that it's on the easier side.
Okay, that's interesting too.
I think you want to err on the easier side, just because failure and frustration go so hand in hand, which sucks. Like, I remember before I got into any game dev stuff, I was thinking all the edgy comments that I get some of these sometimes, but they're like, bro, just make your game hard, make your players good. And you're like, the more you develop, the more you're like, this is a trap. Like, this is just a way to make everyone hate you.
Yeah. I think something that actually helped me personally was with D&D. I feel like, I don't know, have you guys ever played that?
I played a little D&D.
I've played half of a game.
Half of a game?
Of D&D.
Like half of a campaign?
What happened to the other half?
Half.
You died?
Incomplete. It wasn't actually D&D. It was it was a board game that was pretty much like D&D based, like pirates and stuff. But yeah, we didn't complete it.
This story's falling apart. You played Monopoly once. You're like, I played D&D. It was a board game. I played it as a shoe.
The board game.
I played chess. You go like,
I played chess once.
Yeah. Remember that one time you beat Henry in chess? That was insane, dude.
Yeah, it was. I
I
checkmated him in like 2 minutes.
It was 2 minutes flat. I remember being like, damn, Henry, kind of embarrassing.
That never happened.
This is now a chess podcast.
Yeah, guys.
Did you have any like thoughts for people who are wanting to get into game development, or
You're like, no.
General concept. I would say don't get caught up in like this dream game mentality that a lot of people start with, where like, this is advice that a lot of people have said, but like your first game should not be big, obviously, but also just this idea that you're developing games in order to get to this kind of this target, this ideal of a dream game is maybe not the right way to look at it. Just like take the process one step at a time, do your game jams, enjoy the game jams for what they are, make your small games, enjoy those small games for what they are. And like, yeah, it's, journey before destination, if you guys know Stormlight Archive.
I've heard that term before. But all right, here's a more important question though. How do you know if you're on the dream game path or not? Like, what are like the things being like, oh, this would be like a red flag for me? Because I try to think of that too, because oftentimes what starts as a small idea slowly has to get more complex for it to be fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Ideally, it doesn't. But as that process starts to happen, the real question is like, how do you know if you're approaching dream game territory? It's such a vague like cloud of
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I think maybe when you're in the kind of, this has happened to me before, when you're in the area of like, you're developing the game right now, but you have no end in sight. Like, you have no idea what you would actually like practically need to do in order to get to the point where your game is finished. Then I think you're in dream game territory. Like, if you don't know what if you can't see the end, if the end isn't in sight, then you probably won't get there.
That's great advice, actually. Yeah,
That is really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say also I would lean on if there's a problem with your game and you list out options. If any of those options are to add another mechanic, I would consider the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's just way better to do more with what you have. Like if you have like characters like run, jump, slide. It's like, and I have this problem. The game's not fun. I added like teleport. It's like, can we make slide more fun? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, can we take something we have
Exactly.
and like, increase on that? So,
yeah, improve the thing. Like, you know, if people are not having fun with what exists, the solution is usually not to add an extra thing.
now you have two bad things, and you're like, okay,
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
someone's like, this
definitely...
thing's bad. I'm like, could you try doing the other thing? I'm like, yeah, it was bad too.
The teleporting mechanic is also not fun.
I just played around with debugging a game, or like adding up stuff for debugging so I could test things for a game I'm working on. And I added teleport, and immediately my thought was like, oh, it'd be a cool mechanic. It's like, stop.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You were gonna say something, Colby. Sorry.
Yeah, I was. So is the reason now you're talking about like you don't want to overscope your game too much? Is that why you kind of created like a movement parkour game? Because to be fair, it's not the hardest genre to make. It's definitely easier than like a MMO RPG. I'm not throwing shade. Please. Please.
No,
How old are you, Kobe?
Me.
Old 19-year-old bitch.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna lie. The reason I chose the genre that I chose is completely by accident. I made this black hole mechanic because I was just like, okay, I want to make a game. I want to make something with a black hole. That seems cool. I guess I'll see where it goes. And then just it kind of, if you guys know the term follow the fun, I just followed the fun, and it ended up as a movement speed game. And absolutely, it was definitely on the kind of easier, more practical type of game to make. Because, like, you know, I didn't write a story, an in-depth kind of RPG type thing. I didn't add multiplayer or whatever. It's a very straightforward path to completion. But I think I did learn things that I wouldn't have learned otherwise in making this specific type of game. You know, kind of specifically this part about having practical steps and like seeing the end. Like, I knew exactly what I needed to do to finish the game at almost every point in development. Like, okay, I need to make X levels, I need to add X mechanic for it to be good. And that was like something really valuable for me to learn, I think. Yeah. And as for, you know, actual complex projects, I'm on that path now. Like, I'm looking for complex things to make. The 1D renderer was like the tip of that iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So yeah, do you think like just starting off smaller for newer game developers, you get that sort of experience and then you can move on to the complex ones once you've got like a few releases under your belt and you kind of know how it goes? Is that
For sure. Like, make a 2D platformer. Make a 2D platformer like that's really simple. Just kind of learn the basics. Maybe that's an oversimplification, but like, yeah, for sure. Don't, you know, this is advice that you see everywhere, right? But don't make your dream MMORPG inspired by GTA and Breath of the Wild as your first game. Because not only will you not succeed, you're also just going to end up hating game development, right? Because
game dev,
you're not going to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I will say that's how I started. I think that's how we all started, right? Or Kobe?
We all started by making an MMORPG.
No, I started with a 2D. With a 2D
platformer? Yeah.
Yeah, some of us never left that, you know? Some of us still do that.
So.
Yep. 2D.
I started with like a really big scoped game, and obviously I didn't finish it. Although I might revisit it because it could be cool. But yeah, and then I went on to do game jams and stuff, and you know, the experience that you learn from that is that you can make small games. It exists.
Yeah. Also, -5 points for you for saying big scoped and not overscoped. I guess it might
grand
be
total
fair.
points is -5 now because we didn't have any other points. So,
I mean, I think it's a bit of payback for me saying
Name
Singularity.
drop, title card. Oh Oh yeah, what's the name of this podcast again? Majorly Scoped?
Yeah, something like that.
Welcome to Majorly
Largely
Scoped
scoped.
podcast,
Super
where we talk
scoped.
about the types of scopes you use when scuba diving. We got a scuba scope here. I don't know. That's not even
What's your name again? Cody developer?
Cody, yeah, that's me.
One little thing I will say to that, all that starting on your first game stuff and doing game dev, I think it's really important to lean in what you're already good at. It's so hard to do all the things that we do. So I think it's going to help you tremendously if you're an art person to lean into the art. If you're a coding person, you can do interesting things like Euclidean stuff. Like if you can do interesting things, there is markets for tons of different things. You just have to make sure you're not just being the jack of all trades. I don't think is good. Because ideally you should be working on a project, get it done. And we should probably be working towards like having a studio, working with multiple people, having people to rely on. But I think in the beginning, doing it yourself feels good because you don't want to like work with people that quit. I feel like we all did that a bunch. I said it so aggressively, but yeah, you work with people, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I'm right here, bro. You don't gotta.
No, you're right.
I didn't think your headphones were on. I had to yell. No, but I think leaning into what you're already good at is the biggest thing that I think helped me. So I assume it might help other people.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
You go.
I think you just said
I agree. I agree with Zeth. I think
Clip
absolutely. I absolutely think that leaning towards what you're already good at is a good way to start. But it's important to know that also you should diversify your arsenal and like try to get better at art, get better at animation or whatever. That's just part of the process of improving as a game dev.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you don't agree with that then.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
No, I think
he's like, I agree, but the opposite's good.
I think it's no. Well, no. So I'll tell you what. I think when you're starting, you should absolutely lean into what you're good at. But then as you're learning to make games, you shouldn't just be like specifying more and more. You should be trying to diversify a little bit. Just get better at a lot of things.
Diversify a lot.
I feel like that's I kind of have the opposite approach. I feel like my own journey. I feel like that's the opposite of what I did. Is I kind of like just tried doing everything, and I feel like now I found the thing that I enjoy the most. So I'm trying to push into that. But
what is it?
Yeah.
None of your business. My own stuff.
Oh, my
Just
bad.
playing
Sorry.
chicken.
Sorry.
Favorite thing to do.
No.
Speedrunner
Systems programming. I feel like that's really fun. Yeah. And I feel like I'm okay at it. But yeah.
And you feel like you want to like specify more into that field?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's why I've been trying to work on that merchant game, because I feel like just like thinking about like how different things can interact. I think it's like really fun to think of that. Sorry, that was weird. I don't know what I was doing.
I feel like you're in the meme with the numbers, and they're just gonna be like, I work on the merchant game, and you're like, no, he's not working.
Henry's programming right now.
Yeah,
he just rebooted.
I was actually. Oh, no.
Henry's making a system, developing systems at this very moment.
Yeah, but yeah. I think that's interesting. I think that could be something, especially with motivation. I feel like if you're jump into what you're good at in the beginning, I feel like that could be good to like help you to push through like the hard stuff. To know that you can rely on this this other stuff. So I can see that.
I was gonna agree with you until I remembered that you also think that fixing bugs is fun. So yeah.
No agreeing with Henry anymore, ever.
No more.
He's our contrarian, we gotta have it.
We gotta have someone.
I'm not okay.
If the thumbnail for this episode doesn't have like I love fixing bugs in it, then that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you, NivMiz, for being on the Overscoped podcast. Singularium is
Thank you
out
for having me.
right now on Steam. Go buy it. How much did you make off of it?
$400 million.
2,000 and something.
2,000.
Yeah,
That's
we're
10x
aiming
that.
to.
Let's get it up to 20K. Okay, this is my personal
Let's
request
go.
to everybody.
True, guys. He's a doctor. He's got bills to pay.
He's supporting a family of 4.
He's
Come on,
supporting
man.
a
This guy
family
needs
right
money.
now.
And that's only the family we know about. He probably has another family a town over. It's a lot to think about, people.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for being
My
on.
secret. Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a great time.
Perfect.